All right, here we go. Another genealogy. Don't forget to hit the settings if you want to hear it at regular speed. Now these are the records of the generations of Terah. Terah became the father of Abraham, Nahor, and Haran. And Haran became the father of Lot. Haran died in the presence of his father Terah, in the land of his birth, in Ur of the Chaldeans. Abram and Nahor took wives for themselves. The name of Abram's wife was Saria, and the name of Nahor's wife was Milcah, the daughter of Haran, the father of Milcah and Ishka. Saria was barren and had no child. Terah took Abram his son, and Lot, the son of Haran, his grandson, and Saria his daughter-in-law, his son Abram's wife, and they went out together from Ur of the Chaldeans in order to enter the land of Canaan. And they went as far as Haran and settled there. The days of Terah were 205 years, and Terah died in Haran. Okay, so why did he tell us the genealogy again? He restates this genealogy of Shem because, again, we're following that bloodline of Christ, so this genealogy is important. Now, as we know with all genealogies, we start with one person and they spread out, right? Because one person has a bunch of kids and other kids, and then those kids have other kids, and we know that they all spread out. So what God does every now and then, and this is one of those instances where he'll go down the genealogy, it'll get wide, and then all of a sudden he'll pick somebody, and he'll make his new covenant with that person. And this is who we're coming to now with Abram. So we're re-following the Semitic or Shemitic bloodline, and as we follow that bloodline, we'll see that now we've led up to Abraham. So now it's going to narrow down to Abraham, who's now called Abram, and we'll take it from there. That's next chapter, chapter 12. All right, Genesis chapter 12. Let's just jump right into it. This is where we begin the story of Abram. Now the Lord said to Abram, "Go forth from your country, and from your relatives, and from your father's house, to the land which I will show you. I will make you a great nation, and I will bless you, and make your name great, and so you shall be a blessing. And I will bless those who bless you, and the one who curses you I will curse. And in you all the families of the earth will be blessed." This is hugely important because this is the covenant that we as Gentiles are now part of. When it says that we've been grafted into the vine and we become joint heirs with Christ and we are heirs with Abraham, and this is the promise that we've got, that the promise was made to Abraham, because it says through his seed all the families of the earth will be blessed. Well, that's us, the rest of the Gentiles. It was through Moses that the children of Israel were blessed. The commands are "Hear, O Israel," right? And this is through the rest of the world. So this is the covenant that we're under. And it's a long time from now. But when we get into Hebrews, we'll see about the two different priesthoods and what they mean and all that. But it's based on this, that this is where this began, that this is the covenant that God is making with Abraham. And this predates other covenants that come later that build upon it. So this becomes very important, that he's going to put a blessing on Abraham and a protection on Abraham, that people that bless him will be blessed in return, and that people who curse him will get cursed in return. And this is an important blessing. And as to this covenant with Abraham, as Christians, we are privy to that promise. That's for us too. People who curse us will get cursed, and people who bless us will be blessed. And it just kind of works that way. Back all the way to this here in Genesis chapter 12. Let's continue with verse 4. So Abram went forth as the Lord had spoken to him, and Lot went with him. Now Abram was 75 years old when he departed from Haran. Abram took Sarai his wife, and Lot his nephew, and all their possessions which they had accumulated, and the persons which they had acquired in Haran, and they set out for the land of Canaan. Thus they came to the land of Canaan. Abram passed through the land as far as the site of Shechem, to the oak of Morah. Now the Canaanite was in the land. The Lord appeared to Abram and said, "To your descendants I will give this land." So he built an altar there to the Lord, who had appeared to him. Then he proceeded from there to the mountain on the east of Bethel, and pitched his tent, with Bethel on the west and Ai on the east. And there he built an altar to the Lord, and called upon the name of the Lord. Abram journeyed on, continuing toward the Negev. And this is a habit that Abraham had that was pretty cool, that everywhere he went, he built an altar. It was one of the first things that he did. If we look back at what Noah did, he gave offerings and stuff like that because he was commanded to. But then after that, first thing that he did on his own was he went and he planted a vineyard, right? We see how well that turned out for him. Abraham, on the other hand, wherever he goes, the first thing he does is he builds this altar for the Lord, and he makes sacrifice to the Lord, and he prays to God, and it's kind of Abram is known as an altar builder and someone that communicates with God, and this is why God communicates with him. He builds altars. Verse 10. Now there was a famine in the land, so Abram went down to Egypt to sojourn there, for the famine was severe in the land. It came about, when he came near to Egypt, that he said to Saria his wife, "See now, I know that you are a beautiful woman, and when the Egyptians see you, they will say, 'This is his wife,' and they will kill me. But they will let you live." Please say that you are my sister, so that it may go well with me because of you, and that I may live on account of you. It came about, when Abram came into Egypt, the Egyptians saw the woman was very beautiful. Pharaoh's officials saw her and praised her to Pharaoh, and the woman was taken into Pharaoh's house. Therefore he treated Abram well for her sake, and gave him sheep and oxen and donkeys, and male and female servants, and female donkeys and camels. But the Lord struck Pharaoh and his house with great plagues because of Saria, Abram's wife. Then Pharaoh called Abram and said, "What is this you have done to me? Why did you not tell me she was your wife? Why did you say, 'She is my sister,' so that I took her for my wife? Now then, here is your wife. Take her and go." Pharaoh commanded his men concerning him, and they escorted him away with his wife and all that belonged to him. This was kind of really a bad idea on Abram's part, where he gave his wife to the Pharaoh. He's like, "Hey, take her," in order to save his own life. He gave his wife over to Egypt, and it kind of didn't go well for Egypt, because now these curses came upon him because the Pharaoh was sleeping with somebody else's wife, and adultery is a sin, and sins have consequences, and it came back on him. And the sin was also on Abram. So I don't, something's going on here. This is kind of crazy. This is one of these wacky things, but we have to look at this through the understanding that they didn't have the law yet. Abram wasn't given the law by God, so he was kind of just trying to do the best he could, trying to just like wing it, do the best he can, serve God, pray. And there's a lot of people like that today that feel they have a relationship with God and good with God, and they don't like a lot of churches. Churches they've been to really like, kind of weren't there for them or whatever, just kind of didn't do it for them. They didn't like something, they didn't like somebody or something, but they still know that there's God inside, and they through their conscience do the best that they can to serve him. And this is all that Abram had. This was the only choice he had, through prayer and all that, talking to God. And this is what happens, is that carnal men make bad decisions. And this is why we have an objective truth, so that the scriptures teach us what is right and wrong. So today we can look back and we can say, hey, these things are wrong. Let's not do it. So I'm not going to rent my wife out to Pharaoh for some cows and donkeys. Never a good idea. And that is the end of Genesis 12.